The long-awaited video is here. Hi friends. The #1 question I get everywhere, on every platform. What are you eating today? Breatharian journey, how do I get started? My experience with breatharianism. What is Casey eating? What is the juice? What is the smoothies? What's the size? What does that look like? So for those who don't know, I'm gonna link videos down below about breatharianism and like the Pranic lifestyle. I have a video on how to get started with the Pranic lifestyle. All of that stuff will be listed down below just for the sake of keeping this video short. We are all breatharian. I do have to disclaim that. You depend on breath before you depend on anything else. Or you can go a long time without sleep, without food, with even water. But hold your breath for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever. You need a breath. So we all are, by definition, breatharian. But I know that you guys are inquiring about like no food consumption breatharian. I am not that level of breatharian. I'm actually also gonna link down below a website. I think it's like breatharian.org or something. And there's like levels to breatharian. And in general, I would say that I practice a pranic lifestyle. I value and make time and effort for the power of prana and chi and breathing. I practice breath work for an hour every morning and throughout the day if I can, and sometimes before bed. Some days it's 2 hours, some days it's just an hour. Every day looks a little different. I'm sure just like your every day looks a little different. Breath is priority. I have and do still chew food. As a lot of you guys maybe found me, I was on like a 65-day, I think it was longer than that actually. I think it might have been 70 something. Liquid fast, but that did contain fiber, aka smoothies. In the world of fasting and detox, most of the time when you're fasting, it's juice or water or dry. But there's a million ways to fast, and I also have a video for that. I can link down below. But I just chose just basically keeping it raw, keeping it liquid, making it really easy for my digestive system to process. But I also have gone like 30 days on just juice and done a bunch of detoxing and water fasting, dry fasting, all that stuff. Still value that stuff. I still do that stuff. I still fast and do breath work and all of that stuff. But I also have experienced a lot of changes since last year. Just like you, I'm a human developing, learning, ebbing and flowing. And there's really no absolute. So even what I say in this video, next week might not be true for me. Next year, it definitely probably won't be. Who knows? I know the one constant thing that's literally constant as we are able and alive is the breath. So that has been my constant priority still. Nothing has changed as far as that goes. I guess I should just like reflect on it a little bit. So in 2020 is kind of when I like dove into like the living with less, and my appetite just naturally curbed from all of the breath work I was doing. That still is the way that I live. I really don't consume as much food as most people, but I still consume food. I have no shame in saying that. I mean, I've been vegan for 8 years. I'm still vegan. It's always vegan. I definitely feel better and what's the word? Gravitate towards raw vegan more than anything. I don't not eat cooked vegan food. But like in general, like if I had to break it down in percentage wise, I would say that I consume probably 80% raw foods, like fruits and salads and just raw food. And that's just really because it makes me feel like I digest it really well and it feels really good. I always have to do this disclaimer because y'all be tripping, but I'm not condoning any eating disorders or anything. If you do any research on breatharianism, you know that it's an ancient lifestyle and it is not an eating disorder. I will say with that though, to be honest and to be candid, that I think me and a lot of people online in the detox community that I've spoken to and I follow, and just friends of mine in general that are like into this, have definitely had like a mental parasite with fasting and detoxing and breatharianism, and like this fear of food has been born. I've spoken about this on my Patreon a little bit. Another thing I can link down below about my actual like eating disorder journey or whatever. I go into like a lot more details about what that looked like over there, but the short summary I'll say here is that yeah, there was just this like fear of food and this like forcing and like my mind deciding what my body was gonna do, when really it's not about the consumption, it's about the breath. And I know that's like we want to just like jump into fast and just do them, but like breath work naturally curbs the appetite, and anybody that's done it knows that. Like, or some people have experienced hunger right after breath work, and That could be for various reasons that I won't get into. But in general, when you sit in breath work, especially slow, tumo, diaphragmatic breaths that really heat up and detox the body for an hour at least, yeah, you won't have an appetite as much as you think you do. You know, you might, but you probably won't be able to eat as much as you typically would. What I eat in a day now, in general, most days, and this isn't every day, so again, there's no absolutes. I don't usually consume breakfast just because I don't believe in the breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You are literally breaking fast breakfast. And so I just choose to ease into that, and typically it's a smoothie or it's fruit or it's a juice or it's water, and it's usually close, like what time is it? It's almost 12. I haven't had anything today. I don't really know what I'm gonna consume today. I don't really wake up like, today is what we're doing. I'm more in a space of like, what intuitively feels right, because like I said, my mind trying to decide what the body wants. I think there's power in discipline, and I'm not saying that because sometimes there's a time and a place for that, but it got like to be too much last year in certain areas. Like again, fear of food is not you're giving power to the food, and it's supposed to be about like not giving power to the food, in my opinion. So I typically don't eat breakfast. First thing every single day is breath work. I think the most I condoned was like liquidarian, and honestly, liquids are still the basis of most of my consumption. Like I'm good for just making a big smoothie and calling it a day, or drinking a big half gallon of juice and calling it a day, more often than not. But I personally feel like in this moment, I have just given myself like the grace of learning. I still stand by everything I've ever said. Like food is drugs. It's the #1 addiction in America or in the world is food. We consume way more than we think we need. Like 3 meals a day for 365 days is a lot of food. Your stomach is this big. It's the size of your fist. I don't say that to say like food is bad. I just say like I have a lot more awareness with my consumption and how I'm digesting and how I'm feeling when I'm eating it, and like the breatharian lifestyle or beliefs or values are still something I like strongly feel, strongly hold, strongly believe in. I also don't know if I'll ever, and look again, I might make this video next week, but in this moment I don't know that I'll ever make a what I eat in a day video, just because of honestly the internet is annoying. Everybody's an expert, everybody knows everything. People forget that I'm just sharing my experience. I'm not telling you what you should do, I'm just sharing my experience, and if that inspires you or like motivates you to maybe do something similar, then that's cool. But if you're not inspired at all, that's also cool. Like I'm just telling you what I'm up to and how it's made me feel, and like if you're interested, this is how you could possibly feel. Some days it's probably one big smoothie around 1 p.m. and then maybe a salad at like 6. I feel like I have like a juice or a smoothie every single day. That's what a lot of this year has been for me, just releasing and fasting from those absolutes in my brain and giving myself patience and time. Like it is the #1 addiction. It is the biggest drug is food, and I've been addicted to it. We all have, like the overconsumption of it more so than anything, really, like eating way more than we need for like 20 plus years. So I'm giving myself grace and undoing that pattern. In general, like just something to share that I'm really proud of myself for working through is with the fasting comes so much binging. That's like the thing that no one talks about, or maybe some people are starting to talk about, but like that's kind of a thing within the like fasting world. Like if you don't know how to break a fast, it can easily just be like a binge fest. I think it like translates even when you're trying to like be normal and just like eat a meal, you just like have to eat the whole thing. I will say I've like undone a lot of those patterns. I like know when to stop to avoid any danger. Word to the Tao Te Ching. I'll be consuming it, and then if I hit a point where I'm just like, I'm good. Like I don't have to eat all of this. If your body's like, hey, we're good, we're full, or like, hey, like that's enough, like listen to your body. I could say so much in this video, but last thing I'll say, I think a big part of that alone that really like brought me to awareness with food and how I feel is slowing down when you eat. I scream about this all the time to all of my friends, to everyone, because I mean, I'm guilty of it too every now and again, but like really chewing your food and breaking it down, like what you don't chew up here, your body has to figure out how to chew down here. So like slow down and chew your food till it almost feels like a liquid, and you'll realize like, wow, I don't really need to eat all this food, one, and I'm kind of tired of chewing, two. It's a process, it's a journey. I have not mastered breatharian. I have not. I have no shame admitting that, like, at all. That's not to say I might not do another 30 or 60 day liquid juice fast, whatever, like that could still happen. But as of today and a lot of this year, I've just like, with the awareness of the breath, it's allowed me to like give myself grace and patience to experiment and see what certain foods feel like and certain scenarios and environments feel like to eat them in. And like knowing that the breath is the priority before the consumption changed so much for me. Like I don't realize how much I have lessened my consumption until I get around like people in society that are like, let's get breakfast, let's get lunch, let's get dinner, let's get snacks, let's get dessert. And I'm just like, I don't really eat that much food. Portion control is also a big part of something I've learned this year that has made me feel a lot better. Again, your stomach is this big. So I hope that answers the #1 question of like what I eat in a day, what is the breatharian lifestyle like, what's the latest update, like that's the latest update, that's what's going on. She's learning just like you guys. I don't have it all figured out. I know that I do feel my best when I'm fasting. I believe fasting, I still stand by fasting is the fastest way to healing and like the #1 thing to do to heal physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, but it's not something that like you just jump into. I'm not saying like biggest advice I'll give anybody is patience. That's my advice for everything, because I think we have this like quickness and like microwaveness with everything. I just made that word up, but slow bake that thing. Take your time. I've been doing breathwork for only 3 years. It's really not a long, maybe going on 4 maybe. Really not a long time. To look back at the journey to now is like, yeah, wow. I have definitely like, my values have shifted. Patience, kids, patience. All right, I was really scared to make this video, honestly, when I first thought of the idea. And now I feel so glad that I did, because I'm just like, hopefully that question just like chills out for a bit. I also understand why you all were asking the question. I, kind of painted that picture of the lifestyle that I live, and I still feel like that's a lifestyle I live. It just like might have a little different chapter to it right now, but like Pranic lifestyle, I still feel up on prana. When you do breath work for an hour, 60 minutes every morning, you will know what I'm talking about. I'm done rambling. I didn't want this video to be this long. If you guys have any questions or comments or anything at all, let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.